All right. It's another Thursday night and another Real Monsters with technical glitches.
Oh
Hi, I'm
my.
SK Barrett, and joining me is the ever talented Wes Hobrick.
Hello, hello, hello.
And we
I feel
are.
like I'm not being heard at the moment.
Uh,
Am I?
yeah, I hear you.
Okay.
I mean,
All
unless
right.
you're meaning metaphorically, then I can't address that. But
Maybe I will try one more time here.
all right, your voice is coming through, however. And while you're doing whatever you're doing, trying thing, I just started watching a Netflix series called The Ripper, which is about the Yorkshire Ripper, not the London Ripper, the Yorkshire Ripper from the 70s. And I'm watching this show unfold, and I'm realizing, holy shit, I've got another serial killer connection. This is this is so bizarre. But it's even
Uh,
worse than that because imagine this. It's the mid late mid 70s, This is 75, 76, 77 so far in the show. In Bradford, England, where the Yorkshire Ripper is killing. And I'm in Seattle where guess who is on a rampage?
Bundy,
Bundy.
of course.
And I have a pen pal who lives in Bradford. So
Wow.
here are two teenagers, pen pals, opposite sides of the globe, writing to each other, and they both have serial killers actively operating in their communities.
Yeah. And there's less of them out there diagnosed than we think. So,
I mean, who has this shit happen to them? It's crazy. It just
yeah.
it gets me. It really gets me scratching my head.
Oh, absolutely. Can you hear me now?
I'm sorry. What did you say?
Can you
Yes,
hear me now? Oh,
yes,
you can?
yes.
Okay.
That's how I
I
was
think
able
I
to
may have
answer.
fixed the problem, so
Awesome.
yeah. It wasn't with my USB, it was with the other little controller on this thing. So yep, got that in order, finally.
So I still have all my side of the correspondence from those days, those letters. I now need to go find out if she ever brought it up in the
It'd be
letters.
interesting to know.
I seem to think that she may have mentioned it and
Mm-hmm.
in the course of like wanting to change her hairstyle or do something to not be, a target. But I may be just remember, imagining that. I have to. I gotta go see. I gotta go read through all of that and see. It's
Definitely.
years worth of mail, but it's just too weird. Again,
Oh, I would imagine.
now we
Would
have
absolutely
there.
imagine with that.
There's a bit of crime news, big time crime headlines this week with regards to
There,
Zodiac.
yeah. They finally solved the 340 cipher, according to both the side project, the private citizens who did it, and the FBI. The FBI was being a little tight-lipped about it, understandably,
Yeah, is
because they
it?
are still. Eh,
Is it understandable? I mean,
I mean, I would think at this point in time, what they would be looking for is a conviction similar to that of Joseph James D'Angelo, where they get him on DNA that somebody submitted
So they think the guy
somewhere.
is still alive?
Well, no, that would mean he was dead if they were going to do it
Oh,
that way.
I see.
Um, I, I think it's a pretty high likelihood he was dead, but
Yeah, I would think
not
so.
totally sure. But yeah, if you poke around any internet message boards, you find some pretty crazy stuff on there as it relates to Zodiac and the paradise mentions in his cipher. Um, I have my own whole theory on that, but we can go into it another time
Yeah,
if you
I
like.
would love to do like a whole show on the cipher,
Sure.
if we can dig up enough information. Uh, it's I find it curious a little bit that they really don't want anybody talking about how they cracked this.
Hmm. Yeah, that is rather weird.
Um, yeah, it is. It is, and that is actually the part that I'm the most curious about.
Hmm. Oh, absolutely.
Uh, and
How did they do it?
we had the text. They have the text of the one message. Is the cipher different for the other messages? Is that why only the one is being uh, made public? Because there was more than
I
one, right?
I think so. I'm not totally sure on that, but I think so. I would have to check my sources before
Because I thought
giving a
I
serious
thought the
answer, though.
my recollection is that the paper published at least two um,
Hmm.
coded messages from Zodiac.
Well, and yeah, and then the first one was solved by a couple who were history teachers.
Oh, I thought
I
it wasn't
remember that.
solved. I thought they solved it, but it wasn't actually.
Oh no, this one was solved
Okay.
by that couple who were teachers in their spare time. Then the other one is, of course, the 340, which hasn't been solved until now.
Well,
Even with
well
the.
done, you silly little computer dorks.
Yep.
Well done, and I mean that sincerely.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, let's hope
It's
that
pretty
let's
impressive.
hope that leads to yeah, because some serious brain wattage had tried to crack that in the past and failed.
There was one guy, I don't know if he added you as well, but he added me, and his only name on there was Poor Richard on Facebook.
Don't recall
And
that one.
his whole goal in creating a profile there was to solve the next cipher.
Huh.
So, he was a rather interesting character. He was severely autistic. He wrote everything down on a piece of paper as we gave it to him. And he got a lot of us in the true crime community to help him try and solve the thing.
Fascinating.
So, yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, code breaking involves a lot of math. I don't want to do
Yep.
that.
Er,
Even though I was a software engineer for 30 years, um, my philosophy was computers, you use computers so you don't have to do math. let,
this is
let
true.
them do it.
This is very true. It is, unless you get into the most simple codes, like a simple Caesar shift.
Oh, yeah. I
That's
mean,
about
those are
it.
pretty basic things. Yeah.
Yep,
Substitution, anyway.
totally.
Yeah, all those kinds of things. All right. So this is our third attempt to do this show.
Mm-hmm.
Fingers crossed we get through it. And I remember the first time we tried it, we made the statement that if you are ever being interrogated by the police, stop answering their questions
Yes.
and tell them one word:
Lawyer.
lawyer.
That is all you need to tell them. Even if you can't afford a lawyer, they are obligated to provide one for you.
As soon as the questioning goes from, hey, can you give us some information about blah blah blah, to it's starting to sound like they're pressing for incriminating details, anything like that, lawyer, and then shut the fuck up until a lawyer shows
Yes.
up. And if you do that one simple thing, you will save yourself endless amounts of grief.
Yes, you will. You absolutely will. And I'll just add that if you are underage, if you are somebody in that age bracket, I'm not sure what the cutoff is with the legalese, and the cops want to question you, you
It's
have
at least
every right.
it's at a minimum it's 18.
Yeah,
If
you
you
have every right up until that age to say that I want my parents in here with me
Yep.
while you're questioning me.
They shouldn't even you shouldn't even have to ask. I think in a
Hmm.
lot of jurisdictions it's illegal for them to question a minor without a parent or guardian present.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah. Well,
know your rights there.
yeah, yeah. It's a big problem. It really
It's
is.
a huge problem. And
Um,
the reason it's a problem, as we will get into many cases of, is that the police will try to boil, it's boil your frog,
yeah,
to use that metaphor.
basically.
They will start off with nice, comfortable, lukewarm water, and they'll keep turning up the heat until they boil you alive, and you won't know
Oh yeah.
when you cross that line.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely,
A
absolutely.
lawyer will know, hence
Yes.
hence the reason to demand, not ask, demand your lawyer to be present so that you
And
don't
if
say stupid shit to the police.
and if the police act like they don't hear you the first time you said
You
it,
just keep
the
saying
next
it.
time they say something to you, just say lawyer. And
Anytime they
keep
say,
saying lawyer
yep,
until they give you a lawyer.
that's the only thing you say to them,
Yeah.
unless you need to go to the bathroom. Um, but just
Yeah.
they if they say something, lawyer. They say something again, lawyer. They say something again, lawyer. Stand up and face the camera and say lawyer.
Yeah. They are actively denying you your constitutional rights if they don't give you one. So,
Yeah.
and it is so, so vital. But that's also what a good defense attorney is supposed to do. I remember one of my favorite quotes, and I guess for people who are listening, I should give them a bit of my backstory. Bit of my backstory was I studied in the law school at Southern Illinois University, Carbondale. Um, and I loved the
Was this
constitutional.
before or after your stint as a gun runner?
Oh, this was it was during
Oh, during. Okay, yeah.
during.
It's a good skill to have for that profession.
Oh,
Either
absolutely.
way.
But
So you studied
man,
law.
I realized I absolutely 100% hated it
Yeah.
in there. But um one idea that I came across while in there, I thought makes a hell of a lot of sense, and it should be applied to defense attorneys everywhere. Because that's what we're talking about as lawyer in this case, a defense attorney.
Yep.
And it was from the great Roman statesman Cicero. And
Who,
he
one of the
said,
most quotable people in the history of ever.
oh, yeah, absolutely. And one of the more conservative ones, too. But he said that the defense attorney's only job is to provide a rigorous defense of his client.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, don't buy into the TV bullshit to think where they try and shame defense lawyers for their the clients who come to them.
Oh, yeah,
As everybody has a right to a vigorous defense. It's a
absolutely.
this idea that defense lawyers only defend good people and innocent people is TV Hollywood bullshit.
Yeah,
Everybody needs
yep,
everybody who's charged with a crime or a civil suit has a right to a vigorous defense, and the job of as you say, the defense lawyer is to try and
defend his client.
do their best to get their client off. That's their job. We
Yeah,
need those people to do that job. And
and that is,
we're going to show you why that's so important.
yeah, yeah, we can definitely get into that later. I was just about to make the point now, but yeah, that's definitely can be made later with what we have. So,
Um, the first time we tried to do this show, I posited that um, that perhaps we should have a law that prohibits the introduction of confessions in a court case. In other words, you the prosecution cannot use a defendant's words against him ever.
mm-hmm. And then you could also get rid of the concept of allocution after a crime happens, too.
Uh, so, why don't you explain what that is? I'm going to pretend like I know.
Allocution.
I'm going to pretend like I know, but I want other people who may not know to hear the explanation.
Allocution, spelt with an Allocution, is usually after the offender. Notice I say that word for a reason.
Hmm.
The offender has been convicted by the state.
Okay.
The judge usually offers the
Oh,
defender
okay.
and a chance to allocute your crimes
Admit to it
to
and
the
we'll go
public
easy on
record.
you.
Yeah,
That kind of thing?
yeah, admit to it, and we might spare you the death penalty.
Right,
That sort of thing.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
absolutely.
goes hand in hand, doesn't it?
It does. Very, very often.
A great many people are in jail because they didn't think, and their lawyers didn't think that they could beat the the prosecution. Not that not had has nothing to do with guilt or innocence. They just didn't think they could win, and
Yeah.
so they take the deal.
That reminds me of one case that we're going to be covering here with these false confessions.
Yeah.
And and that is the case made famous by Making a Murderer.
Oh yeah. Very
The
frustrating series.
yes, the Brendan Dassey case. What if we could pull up just the first photo of him, of Brendan?
Oh, which one is he?
Brendan is he's the one with glasses.
Glasses boy. Okay, I got that one.
Yep. But For those who haven't seen the Netflix series, it is well done. I would highly recommend watching it. Um, this guy by the name of Stephen Avery up in Manitowoc, Wisconsin, which is a county right on Lake Michigan, actually.
Mm.
He lives up there with his family, his extended family, and they live on what's basically a scrapyard, right?
Right.
There's cars everywhere the eye can see. And it's about, I think, an acre or two of that. Well, anyway, in 1985, Stephen Avery is falsely convicted of rape of a woman who was running on the beach on Lake Michigan. And he served 18 years of that sentence, and they later found out that it wasn't him. Why? Because of DNA. DNA,
DNA. Yep.
yep, DNA excluded him. That is until 2005, when Teresa Hallbach, I think we have a picture of her. She's got the shorter brown hair, and I believe she's wearing a red top.
Uh, Give me a second.
No problem. As I'm sure most of you can figure out, they sell a lot of cars off of a car shop, a car dealer, shop, in a salvage yard.
Yeah.
They might have ones that
I
come
don't have her
in and
picture for some reason.
okay, that's all right then. Well, 2005, it was Brendan's mother who also lives up there in this little area where pretty much all the Averys live. Um, and Stephen Avery, he's out of prison after his 18 years, so
Okay.
2003. But in 05, there was that lady that I mentioned, Teresa Hallback, driving up in a tiny green SUV. And she walks up to Stephen Avery's apartment, and he hands her $40, and she gives him something to fill out while simultaneously getting some photos of the car he wants to sell.
Okay.
So once that is done, she hops in her car and takes off, and from there goes missing. I mean, of course, they find bone parts in two different areas on Avery's lawn. Um, they find a 22 caliber shell casing in the man's garage, which to me
Is
totally isn't
nothing. Is
evidence.
nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, when you're in Wisconsin, it would be more evidentiary if you did not
Right?
find a 22 caliber shell.
This is a
Yeah.
rural area,
Yeah. Yes.
and I'm pretty sure these people shot at their junker cars.
Oh yeah. There was one of them they talked to on there. I think it was Uncle Alvin. Uncle Alvin. He says, "Yeah, as a kid, to do target practice, I would take my 22 out and I would shoot at the groundhogs."
Mm-hmm.
So, that's what they do.
Yep.
Um, but they find all that in there, and they start grilling Brendan Dassey shortly after what they find in the trailer, which is essentially nothing when you look at this story that they're pushing forward, which I'll explain here in just a second. When they start interrogating Brandon, his mother was not in the room. It was at a police station. These guys are using their authority, they're flexing their muscles
Hmm.
as one way to try to get him to cooperate.
Right.
And I mean, this guy, his IQ is somewhere in the neighborhood of 70, Brendan Dassey.
So that's really just above, mentally handicapped, and not by
Yeah,
much.
yeah, he's essentially borderline
Yeah.
when you get into it. And they keep him in there for, I want to say it was about 3 hours. The standard investigating protocol for a homicide for anybody
Yeah.
is about 1 hour to 2 hours to investigate them.
Hmm.
So,
So,
um,
so they really wanted to convict this guy, and and
they
this
really,
and this is after he's been let out of prison, right? Or
yeah,
this is the
yeah,
second time they went after him.
yeah. They wanted to get Stephen Avery because he got out of prison and he was about to collect on a $1.5 million judgment from the county when he sued him for deprivation of liberty.
Awesome.
Um, yeah, and Brendan, on the other hand, I don't know what exactly happened there. It almost seemed random, like they just picked him up, like a vulture does.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, abusers know how to pick out their victims. I'll just leave
yeah.
that there. And police who operate in this manner, they're abusers, and they know how to spot somebody that they can manipulate.
Oh, absolutely. That was definitely the case with Brendan Dassey. But luckily, I was able to get a hold of his actual attorney, Brendan's actual attorney, um, who is a professor named Steve Drizzen up at the University of Chicago. And
Wow.
a lot of people around here think our governor is a douchebag. I'm not one of them,
No.
but um, Pritzker actually gave so much money to that school up there that it's called the Pritzker Center on Wrongful Convictions.
Wow.
So,
Oh, they
yeah,
have
I mean,
they
I
have
kind of like the man for doing that.
that's not bad. That's not bad.
Hmm.
Oh,
But yeah,
I actually I
so
don't know any much about your governor. It's the mayor there that gets all the negative attention lately. The
yeah,
Chicago
the
mayor.
mayor is absolutely horrible, just downright. But yeah, so the Center on Wrongful Convictions took up Brendan's story in his fight to be let out of prison. And they even argued in front of the Wisconsin Supreme Court about it, about letting him out. And they didn't.
Hmm.
And as far as it ended up going was the federal court in Chicago, the Eighth Circuit, to try to get him out. But unfortunately, he is still in prison, despite this
Wow.
videotape that should have been on the whole time, but that clearly shows this kid has something wrong with him.
Right.
Um,
Well,
and one,
yeah, and there's counter evidence too, right? I mean, and
yeah,
this is one of those cases where if you can't convict, and this is especially today with DNA and everything else, if you don't have enough evidence to convict if you don't have evidence to convict somebody, you shouldn't be allowed to manipulate them into convicting themselves.
oh yeah, I couldn't agree more. And It's interesting. I was doing a little bit of research on the confession. Let's say that you're in a high pressure situation with police
Right?
and they're keeping you up all night. They're not letting you sit, they're not letting you have water.
It's just the way a cult
Um,
operates.
yeah, yeah, it definitely
Same
is.
way a cult brainwashes their members. Exact
But
same methodology.
let's say in the middle of that,
Yeah.
you break down and you confess to killing your mother. Um, and then
Or
once you
JFK.
leave, yeah, or JFK. And once you leave, you think to yourself for a second, oh shit, what did I say in there?
Right.
What did I say in there to make them stop so I could get the fuck out of that room?
And that
You
is,
know?
and you hear this over and over again from these suspects that that's all they want. All they want to do is to make it stop and go home. And they will,
Yeah,
and they say over and over again, I would have told them anything just to make it stop.
exactly. And that was the big thing with Dassey's case. Right after he gave that confession, he turned to his mother, who had come in the room at the last second,
Yeah.
and said, I want to go home and watch wrestling. He was apparently unaware that he had just confessed to tying a woman spread eagle to a bed, raping her, stabbing her, and shooting her.
Oh, and incinerating her.
Yes, yes, and immolating the body like that. Um, it's sad, really.
Well, and
Totally, totally
and
sad.
and the roots of this go all the way back. Well, shit, they probably go all the way back to Homo sapiens versus Neanderthals. Which, by the way, apparently those two species were at war for new research suggests 100,000 years.
Wow.
So war is,
My
if
God.
you don't think violence is in our DNA, you're mistaken. But
Violence is the natural state of man.
uh, using torture to coerce confessions has been around since day two. Day one was the first
Yeah.
was a crime. Day two, somebody was tortured until they confessed. Um,
And that was one thing that I think we need to get past before we can go any further.
yeah.
And that is a definition of torture.
Okay.
And I had it on my phone and I was going to send it to you. I have it here in Word. Um, Types of coercion. And you can certainly feel the need to add or take away from this. But the first one I have is physical at beating, waterboarding, falanga, which I don't know if you've ever heard of that type of
Falanga.
torture. Yeah,
I don't.
it was.
Is it Asian? Kind of
It
sounds.
is. It was a big part of how our guys in Vietnam were tortured when
Oh,
they were captured. They would make them take their boots off or whatever they
beat
were
the
wearing.
bottoms of their feet.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Um, Emotional coercion. Quote, if you'll never get to see your man or wife or
Mm-hmm.
grandchildren again.
Right.
Let's see. Psychological. Insulting a suspect over something like obesity or denying obvious mental issues with the suspect. 4. Religion. Eliciting a confession at a site holy to the defender. or something similar like praying with the defender. Um, that could be considered an act of coercion in order to get your confession.
So
Um,
I have a question for you. Is it against the law to lie to the police?
uh, yes, it is, but it is not against the law for them to bluff and lie to you.
Well, that's rather an imbalance.
Yes, it is. That's one thing we should have covered before we went any further, because it's very, very, very true.
Because I could
Um,
see, if I was ever in an interrogation, and I never have been, it's just making bullshit up, Kaiser Sose style. Just make up some stories, lead them on a goose chase.
oh, I bet.
I mean,
Let's
that would be,
see.
at least that would be entertaining.
It definitely would. I'd watch it. um, let's see. Extra legal sites. Um,
Oh, we have a case of that, don't we?
yes, we do. Using them, period. Using an extra legal site, period,
That
to
means
get
not
some
at the police
information from
station.
you.
That's what that means.
Yeah. Um, straight up, this kind of fits with what you were just saying. Straight up lying to the suspect on how hard evidence and polygraph results.
Oh, polygraph bullshit.
Yeah, there is more than a few of these forced confessions I've been looking at who confessed because they failed a polygraph. It was literally that simple.
Yeah, they say, well, there's a problem. And this is how they go in there. There's so much bullshit with polygraphs. It's basically testing if you're nervous and
Yeah,
if you're bloodstream. And you can be anything that you can be taught in half an hour how to beat is not scientific. It
yeah,
doesn't tell you anything. And
yeah.
the easiest method to beat a polygraph, as I've been led to believe, is the just tightening and releasing your sphincter during questioning, and it
Yep.
just fucks up the everything, and they say, well, everything's inconclusive.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. The good old asshole twist with
Yeah,
that.
but
And
one
absolutely.
but part of the problem with the polygraph is that the manipulation starts before the test.
Oh, yeah.
The questioner, has a little, conversation with the subject before the test begins to kind of mentally get them susceptible. And then afterwards, they will, it doesn't matter how the test goes, the police will come in and say, there were problems with this test, with your polygraph. There were
Yeah.
problems. They won't say you lied. They'll just say there were problems with it.
Yeah. Yeah. It is voodoo science if ever I've seen it.
And it's really just another cudgel to beat the suspect into confession.
Um, remember when I was talking about that email I sent off to Steve Drizzen?
Yeah.
That was the exact question I asked him. How often are polygraphs used as cudgels to get a false confession? And he says that it is the single largest weapon in law enforcement's arsenal to elicit bad confessions is the polygraph.
I think members of the judici- uh, uh, um, what's the criminal justice system need to have their qualified immunity stripped and let them be subject to penalties, criminal and or civil, for doing bad shit to people.
I couldn't agree more with that. Should just get rid of qualified immunity
Which
as a
was
whole.
made up by some fucking judge somewhere anyway. There's no law that says that. It's just some judge
Hmm.
made it up and turned it in. Now everybody's going qualified immunity. Well, that's just uh, magical thinking bullshit.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. And I could not disagree more.
I mean, think about going through your
Could not
daily
agree
life and my
more.
daily life. What kind of shit would you get into if you felt like you had immunity?
Yeah, this is true. It's like a get out of jail free pass card.
Exactly. God, I'd probably cause some trouble. I could imagine that.
Probably.
Maybe the second day.
uh,
It could take that long.
yeah. But, oh man. Yeah, it's just they need to get rid of it totally and completely. When precedent, going back to the judiciary for just a second, when precedent sucks is when precedent needs to be changed.
Yeah.
So,
Just 'cause it's been around a long time doesn't make it right.
right, exactly, absolutely, exactly. And, with forced or false confessions too, this is not a new phenomenon, people.
No, no, this
This
is
has been around for at least 100 years.
thousands of years. Spanish Inquisition was all about forced confessions.
Oh yeah. Well,
I
the
mean,
scientific study of it has
oh,
been
the
around
study of it.
for,
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah,
yeah.
the study of it. It really surprised me to learn that there have been people studying this for a long time.
Um, it's like just going through my library of books, and I found Hugo Munsterberg's
I got it
On
coming
the
up.
Witness Stand.
I knew you were
Yeah.
going there. I'm bringing it up.
um, he gets into the first the first actual untrue confession on American soil happening during the witch trials at Salem.
Shocker!
Yeah,
There's a fact that will surprise exactly nobody.
yeah. Had they had our understanding of psychology, man, I don't know if it would have happened. Yep, there it is, the book. If you were to Google it, you can most likely find a free PDF of it somewhere. But my copy is hardbound and from 1925.
Signed?
So,
Is it?
no,
Uh,
unfortunately not.
well,
Um,
ask him.
I had
It's only 100
my
years old.
finger. I had a finger on the trigger for one that was actually signed by Hugo Munsterberg and made out to William James, but
Wow.
I wasn't able to buy it, unfortunately,
That must have gone for
which
a bit.
sucked. Yeah, it was a lot of money. But the
Well,
other big
so
one,
there are a lot of theories about the witch trials that they originate that it was a kind of a mass hysteria that it might have been ergot poisoning or all kinds of different shit, almost none of which has to do with witches, being witches. But now you're saying that there were coerced confessions.
Oh yeah, most definitely. There were coerced confessions in there. I just lost my spot and I'm re-looking for it here.
It's under the sofa.
Probably is. It probably jumped off the page and went down there.
Everything's under the sofa when you lose it.
Damn it, they don't have they do not have a freaking table of contents. But skipping ahead I guess a little bit until I find that spot.
Yeah.
The first post witch trial false confession on American shores was likely in 1812 in Vermont.
I have a
And that
hard
was
time
where
believing
you
it took
had.
that long.
Yeah, there was most likely more. Maybe they just didn't, give themselves run of the popular zeitgeist,
Yeah,
as it were.
maybe.
They didn't let themselves in, but yeah, this guy, it was two brothers in Vermont, and they were accused of killing a third person,
Okay.
and I believe dumping him in a well is what
Ooh.
they were wanting to do. But the problem was they did that, then they escaped. They were away for about 6 or 7 months, and lo and behold, the murdered person walks back into town.
Um. So
uh,
either they were wrongly accused, or there's resurrection's real, I guess.
basically, yep,
Wow.
it's pretty incredible. A
All
true
right.
story too.
I don't know if this is the right place for this, but I want to throw it out because it popped into my head, so I must speak it. Um, One of the things you hear people say oftentimes: why would anybody confess to a crime they didn't commit, especially murder?
Mm-hmm.
People ask this rhetorical question. Actually, it's a presupposition, meaning that the person asking the question really isn't looking for an answer. They just presuppose the answer is nobody would. And I
Mm-hmm.
believe that is in large part the stance of the judicial system. That if
Yes.
we can make
Yes.
somebody confess, then they must be guilty.
It's the cold, hard, rational way to look at it. But cold, hard, and rational doesn't always look at what's true.
Yes, they is cold and hard, but it's not rational
Yeah.
because they are ignoring uh, mountains of evidence that runs counter to that.
Oh, yeah. They absolutely are. And throughout our history, it's taken the law quite a while to catch up with the science that's been going on. I mean, hell, you're still seeing it with abortion, but um, I don't know what they'll end up doing with forced confessions and all of that. But it's high time they do something about it.
It really is. We have enough criminal science, forensics, DNA, um, you know, uh, cameras fucking everywhere. Although thankfully we're not as bad as Great Britain on that front. Um,
Nope.
there's so many ways to get actual evidence that um, I honestly believe that there's a mentality in the criminal justice system that somebody must pay, and they don't
Yeah,
really give a shit who it is, but somebody's going to
there's a
pay.
desire for justice,
Well,
or what they see
they
as
think it's justice
justice.
by they think
Yeah,
sending somebody to jail is justice.
yeah.
But when I was a little kid, we used to be taught that in this country, it was better for 100 guilty men to go free than to put one innocent man in jail.
Hmm.
Well, that turned out to be grade school bullshit as well.
Yeah,
Um, I think there's a lot of truth. You know, that ought to be the stance, but it is so not the stance. Nobody in the criminal justice system is incentivized to find the right person. They're
hmm.
incentivized to put people behind bars, to get convictions, and that's it.
I agree. We need to get those incentives in the right direction with people.
Well, so one thing that will help motivate those people is if they can be sued by
Oh
the
yeah,
people they harm with their, at very least, callous approach to law enforcement, if not
yeah,
criminal in some cases.
and and that's why we need to kill qualified immunity.
Yep.
Vote for anybody who does that in your state, people. You won't regret it.
Yeah, vote for any, you know, referendum, too, that
Yep.
removes qualified immunity from, uh, you know, everybody in government, pretty much.
Yeah. And I would just add on to the discussion that we had before that about false confessions. It is not just you, just me, just anybody who can be swayed by these tactics. It's everybody,
This is
every single person.
and this is a problem that you run into with people who aren't borderline, you know, mentally deficient, who think that
Hmm.
it can't happen to me. I'm too smart,
Yeah,
and that actually is a hubris that can ruin your life.
absolutely. It could totally kill you. But yeah, that is these two charts are charts from the leading company that sends out ways to train officers, and that is the Reed Company. They also train polygraph testers.
So there you go.
Yeah, basically. But
Uh,
look at that under nonverbal. I mean, erratic and SVD, or whatever this is, erratic and rapid. Well, some people are just erratic and rapid by nature.
they're called Italians.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, there you go.
can say that because I have
Exactly.
Italians in the family.
Yeah, none on my side, unfortunately.
um,
Um,
well, so let me give a counterexample. There's a field of study and research in psychology called neuro linguistic programming that was
mhm.
founded back in the 70s, I think it was, by two psychiatrists who looked at their profession and went, "We're not really fixing anything, but we know some people who are." So they went and studied what they were doing, and it just, blossomed from there. And their entire approach was 100% pragmatic. We don't care. We don't care about anything except whether it works or not.
That's great.
And one of the things that they found, or I don't know if they discovered it or they found somebody who had discovered this, was what they call visual access cues. So
Hmm.
let me give you a quick example of that. Is how you'd be in grade school and the teacher would ask you a problem and then she would go, "It's the answer's not on the ceiling, Wes." Well, guess
Yeah.
what? It actually is for some people. Because what they
Yeah.
found is that we move our eyes to various, upper left, upper right, sideways, left, right, lower left, right, to
Hmm.
access or create memories and feelings.
Oh wow.
And
Very interesting.
you can, if there's like a very typical way that people um, use their accessing cues. Oftentimes, a visual memory is you look up to the left. A emotional memory you look down to the left, and like this kind of thing. But it can vary.
Hmm.
So what you have to do is you have to do what's called calibrating because everybody's different. And
Hmm.
so you have to see how does it work for this person. And
Absolutely.
so you use a series of questions to see how do their eyes go, and you can't stop yourself from doing it. It's
Hmm.
unconscious, right?
Hmm.
Um,
That's a good way of going about it. I was just
right.
thinking
You
personally
can
about
learn. A cop could learn how to do this in an afternoon
oh yeah.
instead of relying on these bullshit lists that are so generic that somebody who's ADHD would be thought of as a liar,
Yeah. Yeah.
or
Totally
somebody who's
bullshit
depressed and
list.
slouching would be considered a liar.
Yeah. And
What?
that stuff is just so generalized. It's almost like these people have no concept of the idea that, oh, maybe I'm a little irate or fearful because I'm in a contact with the police.
Right. Yeah, why would somebody have a reason to feel nervous about being in a little room with three cops?
Yeah.
No
It
reason at
seems
all.
it seems almost delusional to me that they would not recognize that, you know?
Yeah.
Just a total delusion. But yeah, with the NLP, definitely if they can prove that it works,
Oh,
I would say
there's
go
there's
ahead.
there's tons of evidence that it works, and you just have to, you know, have some experience with it, and you can find out for yourself. It's not that difficult to learn this skill. Um,
Hmm.
and if you learn how to calibrate so that you know how that individual uses their eye accessing cues compared to the, you know, maybe they do it like everybody else, but maybe they don't. Maybe they're flipped left to right. Maybe they're flipped up to down. Maybe both. Who knows? The important thing is to find out
Mm-hmm.
how that one person does it. And then you can start to go, oh, well, yeah, they're making up that story right on the spot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, at least they're not relying on some mystical spirograph,
Right.
you know?
Exactly.
exactly what the polygraph is.
Except,
Um,
how many people listening don't even know what a spirograph is?
probably not.
Uh,
uh, but
it was a toy from the 60s and 70s, okay? Made pretty
yep,
designs
it did.
that kids
But
loved to play with for about 20 minutes and then they were done with it forever.
um, I think a big part of that as well in how police work and in police psychology is this whole idea of murder will out, which is just a weird concept when you look at the science behind it. Murder will out. Um,
What do they mean by that exactly?
they mean that if a person is carrying the knowledge that they did that, they are going to need to go to church, to a priest,
That
etc.,
is, oh
etc.
my God. Oh, like the burden of this the crime is going to leak out of their persona in some way, and they just have to unburden themselves. That type of
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Basically, yeah. But
The
you,
power of confession, as we had that GIF up earlier.
yes, we did. But
Well, that
you
doesn't
know,
account. How does that account for sociopaths who don't feel bad about what they do?
exactly. There's that, and then there's others. Chicago's, I mean, just look at their criminal history and the organized crime there.
You mean you mean outside of the police force?
Yeah. Uh, yeah. Yeah, I'm talking 1920s rum running.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yep. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
you'll feel
I
good
mean,
when you confess.
um,
It's amazing as well how many police officers will use that or something very similar to it when they are grilling a suspect.
oh yeah, yeah. Don't you just want to get that off your chest? Or the other one is that they're just trying to help. If you tell us now, we can help you.
Yeah.
Hey, here's a tip. The police aren't there to help you. They're there to help themselves.
Yeah.
They ain't
In a
they,
nutshell.
they ain't gonna help you. They're not gonna stand in front of the judge and go, "Oh yeah, he was a good guy in interrogation. We should go easy on him." They're not gonna do that.
Yep. So true.
They're not
You'll
even gonna
feel
be
better
there.
when you confess.
They'll be there to testify about what you said in your bullshit confession that they managed to squeeze out of you against your will, and that's it.
Hmm.
They are not going to help you. They are not your friends. They are not on your side.
Nope, they are not people. That's
Now,
how our system is built. We are built adversarially.
as it should be,
Yeah,
as it should be,
absolutely.
because there are countries in the world where they do not have an adversarial system, or they have a kangaroo adversarial system where pretty much
Hmm.
whatever the government wants happens, and you don't want to live in that in society.
No, no, you do not, because it's usually a society that was beyond the Iron Curtain for the most part.
Or South
It
America,
doesn't.
or certain parts of Asia. But yeah,
Yeah, mostly. Um, and looking at the false confessions themselves, there's three pathways to it. And this was again from Steve Drizzen and his colleague, Laura Nyrider, up there at the Northwestern Pritzker School Against um, Wrongful Convictions. The first one is what's called the misclassification error. Why
Mm.
was the defendant suspected in the first place?
Oh yeah. Hey,
What was the defendant's behavior?
if they didn't if they weren't doing something wrong, we wouldn't even be talking to them. They might not
Right.
be guilty. Oh, here or a variation on that. You know what? They may not have done this, but they did something, and we need to get
Yeah,
them off the street.
exactly. I mean, that is their logic with all of this. It's like, oh, they might be innocent of that murder, but we locked this person up and they deserve to stay locked up because they were just bad people.
Yep.
You know? How often do you hear that? But the second error is the coercion error, which is what basically we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Um, how was the defendant convinced to confess? Number three, the contamination error. How did the defendant know what to say?
Oh yeah. And this is almost identical, if not exactly the same as those false memories from the stupid satanic kindergartens from the
Oh,
80s.
yeah, absolutely. I got that exact same thought when I was doing this research. Um, and if you look at other cases here, like the one about the woman who tried to burn her daughter to death while she slept, allegedly.
Hmm.
I think we have some pictures of her if
Uh,
they're
you know what? I didn't get those new pictures into the system in time.
oh,
Sorry.
that's all right. Oh no, that's all
Sorry.
right.
Hey, I'm happy we got up and running, man.
Yeah, yeah, that's no problem. I'll just describe it. Uh, Basically, it's in Michigan, not Detroit, but it's in greater suburban Michigan
Okay.
in the early, I believe, 90s. And there's a family there. And one family has a teenage daughter who's getting a tad bit rebellious, right? As I'm sure they tend to be. I've never
Um,
raised one myself.
having raised two, I can tell you that there is a period of approximately 5 to 7 years that is rather dreadful.
uh,
And
but
my experience at the time and since has led me to the belief that nobody likes teenage girls except teenage boys.
well, I mean, there you go. But yeah, it was a family with one of those teenage girls and a father,
Okay?
um, who owned a body shop right down the road from them. And the morning of the fire, the woman, the mother, decides to have her coffee and walk her out to her husband's body shop. And, just sit there and have their coffee while customers come in.
Okay?
When all of a sudden, she gets a call. Smoke had been billowing from her house.
Oh,
And, yeah, and finally, when 911 and first responders got there, they got in, they got the fire out, and they got the corpse of their daughter out. Um,
horrible
and
thing to have to
they
go through. Unimaginable.
on one. one thing that makes it even weirder, though, they found a gas can that still had some gas in it sitting in the daughter's bedroom.
Oh,
And they also found a pack of matches with about five of them being struck.
okay.
Um,
And
and
was she in bed?
she was on the floor by
On the
the bed,
floor. On the floor.
face down on the floor.
Okay.
And my question for that is, that's a very bizarre way to commit suicide, right? Uh,
It's an extraordinarily rare means of suicide in general in the
mm-hmm.
world. It's very rare, and
That
I
is
don't
what
know,
I thought.
I don't know if I've ever heard of a single case of a female doing it.
Yeah, that's a good question.
And
I
on top of that, it's never done in private. These
that's true. Oh, that's very true.
this type of suicide is for public display. It's to make a point about something. It's usually a protest.
That's very true. I was just thinking of the burning monk,
Yes.
and then the guy who I guess set himself on fire with the Arab Spring,
Yeah. Yeah.
which I hadn't recalled. But
You don't set
yeah,
yourself on fire in your bedroom in the privacy of your bedroom. They're much
yeah,
much I mean, it's such a horrific way to die that you have to be willing to pay that price for something. And somebody
yeah.
needs to know why you did it.
Oh,
Why
absolutely.
did you endure that much agony on your way out of this world? You don't it's not a quiet way to go.
And if you are just a pissed off teenage girl who is wanting to get back at her parents by burning your house down,
You burn the
why are
house
you
down.
gonna?
You don't.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Why are you gonna stand in your bedroom with a gas can that's still open and start lighting fires with a door going out of your bedroom still open?
Yeah. So that
But at
yeah,
any
that
rate,
is
they
in no way would I if I was investigating it, there's no way I would call that a suicide.
yeah, yeah. I mean, the investigators picked up this woman by the name of Karen Bowes,
Okay.
and they arrested her for first degree murder on
And who
this.
is this woman?
Um, let's
I mean,
see.
was she just somebody walking by? Was
Well, she
she
was the mother.
Oh, she was the
Uh,
mother.
yeah,
Okay.
she was the mother of the daughter, but they arrested her and they were questioning her. And throughout much of the questioning, you have this local police chief, right,
Okay.
in their small town, who is doing the questioning.
Okay.
And at several times, he says, "Have you prayed about it?"
Oh.
And then, "Do you think it could all just have been a dream?"
Hmm.
Which is just bizarre to me.
That sounds like
Um,
some subliminal manipulation bullshit. I mean, not bullshit in the sense of, you know, he's not trying to find the truth. He's trying to manipulate her into confessing.
yeah, basically, that's exactly what he was trying to do. Um,
Because, after all, if you can get a confession out of the first person you think of who might have done it, you can go home. You're
yeah,
done. You don't have to
yeah,
do all this hard investigating shit. You're done for the day. Go have a barbecue.
yeah.
What
Go have
this
KFC and enjoy yourself.
this cop shit isn't so hard. You just get somebody confessed and then you're done. Move on. Is
uh,
it time for our "we really like the cops" caveat? we we really do, honestly, for all of this that we've talked about. We
yeah,
really do have a lot of respect for law enforcement personnel. We think that the
absolutely.
system that they work in is broken and it needs to be fixed. And we want it to be fixed. And we want good cops to do well in their jobs.
Yeah, absolutely seconded with that. I mean, they are heroes putting themselves on the line every single day for us. And we should not be acting like assholes to them.
No, that's a
You
good
know,
way to get in trouble. If you,
yeah,
as
there's
Chris,
a difference between knowing your rights and acting like an asshole.
Chris Rock has an old video from the God, what was it, the 90s, where he talks about how not to get your ass kicked by the cops. And the first one is don't be an asshole.
Yep, that is very true. Just don't be an asshole, people,
Look,
and know your
let me
friends.
tell you, I used to drive a Mustang, and and when I drove the Mustang, and even a couple times after I drove the Mustang, I was pulled over for speeding half a dozen times and walked away without a ticket,
Mm-hmm.
and walked away without even a warning because
Nice.
because I wasn't an asshole. The one time I did
That
get it,
definitely
and the
works.
one time I did get a ticket, the guy knocked that down from like 75 to 65 because uh, because
uh,
basically because I said, "Yeah, you got me." Yeah.
oh yeah.
But you know, they're
Basically.
people doing a hard job. They don't need you to make it harder for them.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, do both of us think that they have too much power in this country? I think, yeah, it's fair to say we both think that. But that's not because of your average officer, it's because of the legislature
Right.
that's empowering them.
Well, and
So,
they get put in such difficult situations where they're required to do this so many things and know so many things and react in a split second with partial information that's going to be picked over frame by frame forever.
yeah,
It's just about impossible. And now with the defunding and the mayors who are refusing to let them do their jobs during riots, all the good ones are quitting,
mm-hmm,
and it's
I
not going to
can
be good.
understand
It's
that.
not going to be good. It's not going to be good, people. It's not going to be good. What's hilarious is that those same people will turn around and call 911 when shit goes down on their property.
Yeah, yep, and nobody's gonna show up, y'all.
Yeah.
Hey,
We
yep,
want we want the good cops to have the training and the tools and the support to put the bad guys in jail and just the bad guys.
yeah, and I think one thing that would go way far with that you and I had talked about off the air was instead of police trying to
Oh yeah, I
corroborate
thought
a
this was a brilliant
confession,
idea.
falsify the confession. Police should try to falsify a confession once they have one.
Right.
If they can't reasonably falsify it in a given amount of time, then it's probably a good confession.
Well, yeah, I would say, but and I went one further and said No confession is admissible. Now, if a suspect says, "Oh yeah, if you go to 45th and Vine and look behind the dumpster, there's a body that I put there."
Hmm?
Well, then you can say, "Well, he told us where to find the body."
Yep.
That's not a confession. That's evidence.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Make that distinction, and that would be okay. But I think otherwise, just take that temptation away from the prosecution side of the table. You want
Yeah.
to convict somebody? Go find some fucking evidence.
Oh, yeah. I saw a article the other day that said that California is now going to start requiring a bachelor's degree to be a cop. So,
I'm not surprised. They have to know so it's really astonishing. They have to know
hmm.
a lot of legal shit. This is besides the physical training they have to go through, the weapons training they have to go through, the psychological screenings that they have to go through. It's a very difficult job to do for not really a ton of money.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely. I kind of hope that they focus it, though, to say it
Well, I
has to
would.
be in something that's
I
semi
mean,
relevant.
I understand the thinking behind that, but honestly, 4-year degrees are kind of nonsense anymore. Anyway,
Hmm.
they've been they're what Elon Musk said recently that college is for having fun and proving you can do your chores.
Mm. Yeah, that's about right.
Um,
It is totally about right.
so it's kind of, if I can say it, old-fashioned thinking to think that a degree means something anymore.
Hmm. Yeah, a lot of people are looking at experience more than anything.
It's one thing I really appreciate about the software industry. They were one of the first industries in the world to, um, at least white collar industries, to base their hiring decisions on what you can do, not
Hmm.
where you went to school, not so much who you know. Although you like working with people you've worked with before if they're good people, but it's really about can you do the job, and that's the only thing that matters.
Absolutely. And that's the best logic to have with something like that.
Yeah. Well, a lot of industries could benefit from that kind of thinking. Like say,
You
I
know,
don't know, police.
yeah, police,
Well,
definitely.
one of the problems with police, I got to say it, it's unions.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You are not wrong at all there.
Unions seem to be exist to take money from their members and protect the worst of the cops from being
Hmm.
fired.
Yep,
Same with the teachers
that is
unions.
about it. It is literally it. There is no other reason for them to exist.
Oh man, we've really gone over this. And the thing is that we've spent an hour and a half on this, and there's so many cases, there's so many sad, tragic, ruined lives. That we could talk about individual cases for days. I mean, we,
Yep.
we didn't even mention like the no fork. How do you say it? No fork. No fork
I
four. Those poor
um
sailors who got railroaded.
Norfolk.
Norfolk.
Yeah, we didn't mention the Norfolk 4, the Central Park 5 would be another.
Those two boys in
Um
Bellevue.
yeah.
I mean,
Um
the list is endless. And this is why
Yeah.
you have organizations like you mentioned earlier, and then there's the Innocence Project, which has gotten some publicity because of John Grisham's involvement with them. Um,
Mhm.
there's a lot of people are really tired of the bullshit convictions, and
Oh yeah.
they want to get the innocent people out of jail. Some people want everybody out of jail. That's not what we're saying here. We want the bad guys in jail and the innocent people out of jail. It's not complicated.
No, it isn't. Not at
We may
all.
need to rework some of the appeals rules that are kind of ridiculous at times.
Yeah,
Um, but
absolutely.
it's worth it though. Good
It
people,
absolutely is worth it.
good people are having their lives ruined by these things going on, and most people have no idea that it's happening. They think cops are putting bad guys in jail, and only bad guys confess, and it's just not true. And it's
One innocent in jail equals at least one criminal free.
yeah. How about that side of it? How about that
Yeah.
side of it? You put an innocent guy in jail, somebody who actually did the fucking crime is walking around scot free
Mhm.
while you're getting a promotion for your conviction rates.
Yeah, exactly. It's justice taking a backseat to body count with a lot of these prosecutors.
Well, the cops too. How
Hmm.
many cases can you clear? Well, let's
Yeah.
see. It used to clear a lot more when you could beat people up. Now you have to just, you know, mentally abuse them for days at a time, and then you can get them to confess.
uh, yeah, I mean, with these cases, there's just so much in them, and I mean, if you like, I could start integrating some of the ones that I have into future episodes.
Absolutely. Or we I don't know. I feel like maybe we need to hit this same topic up like periodically every couple of months.
Sure. Yeah, we could definitely do that.
Maybe have specific episodes about specific cases, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Cool.
that'd be great. We could do that.
Cool. This has been a exciting episode to talk about, and I've wanted to do it for a long time.
Yeah. And that's a good show. It's fun.
All right. Well, thank you again for all that you do for the show and your research and your ridiculous opinions. All right.
My pleasure.
Yeah. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night, one and all.